Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm so glad you're here this morning. Got a great show lined up. But first, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. Don't forget that construction going on Baldwin Road this summer. High today, folks, it's just hot. It's going to be 92, low 79. Water temperature is hanging around 85 degrees. Let's take a look at our river readings. Not a lot of action going on. The Apalachicola River is just nice and level. We're looking at about a 4 foot run right there. There's a slow drop to it. It's going to get below 4 this weekend. Waxahachie, not a lot of action going on there. About a 3.1. Got a little bit of movement on it. Okay, our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Today is Wednesday, June the 24th. We're in those neap tides today, so we don't have the river moving and we don't have the tide flowing today. So you're going to have to get out there and just hustle hard and work hard if you're going to try to get some fish today. But not a lot of movement there. But we got this weekend some good tides, okay? Marine forecast will be west, southwest, and we're in a pattern now, the little west-southwest wind, anywhere from 10 to 12. It's going to be that way the next couple of days. All right, let's take our break and be right back. All right, welcome back, folks, and welcome back to Officer Travis. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Travis has been with us a time or two already. And people, I've gotten so many good comments from you coming on the show. So
good deal.
We appreciate you coming on. And I looking at the notes, he's organized. You could be a college professor with these notes, Travis.
I just want to be prepared, but I enjoy doing it. Enjoy doing it.
Well, thank you so much. And let's get started. What all you have here?
Well, like we were talking about before the show, this Saturday is going to be the opening day for Bay Scallops, and we know it's big for our area. So it's going to open Saturday, June 27th, and it's going to be open till all the way through September 25th. So just like last couple years, they're opening it just a little bit early to catch that last weekend in June, and then it's going to run through September almost. And it's the same bag limit, which would be 2 gallons whole or 1 pint cleaned meat. It's one or the other. So however you want to do it, a lot of people think you can get more if you clean them, depending on the size of the scallops. And, some people think you get more the other way, but it's one or the other. And then there's a vessel limit of you can't have any more than 10 gallons on board, that just whole or a half gallon clean meat. So, like we discussed earlier, pretty much all of Bay County is closed. Gulf County extending all the way east to the Pasco-Hernando line. So that's, Steenhatchee, and I know a lot of people go down there. A lot of people go to St. Joe Bay. That's going to be your open area. So, again, from the Pasco-Hernando County line to the west bank of the Mexico Beach Canal, that's going to be your open area for scallops. And you will see, there are some scallops coming back in Bay County in our Bay, St. Andrew Bay system, Crooked Island Sound, but they're still closed to harvest at this time. So
we've talked about that. People just leave them alone, and if you see people getting them, you call these guys up and all, and leave them alone. That we'll get a population coming pretty soon.
Right, and hopefully we can open those areas again. It'd be great. I talked to some old timers before, and they said right there by Carl Gray Park, it just should be loaded with scallops.
I've heard that over and over again from the old timers. Yep.
So they're just very sensitive to pollution or anything like that, any runoff from roads or parking lots, and that might have got them out of there. But there's some other areas that they're out there in Bay County. But along with Bay scallops, something very important that we want to remind everyone about is dive flags, and that goes for whether you're at Shell Island and you're wanting to look at dolphins or snorkel over there, or if you're in St. Joe Bay scalloping. If you have a mask and snorkel on or an underwater breathing apparatus, which is scuba, then you need to display a dive flag when you're in the water. There's different sizes on those. I just wanted to remind everyone on that because it's going to be big this week. There's going to be a lot of people out there, especially Saturday and Sunday with opening weekend. And if you're on the boat, the minimum size is 20 by 24 inches on your boat flag. And then what a lot of people do, they carry around that float. You put that around your arm and then you can swim around. That one only has to be 12 by 12. But the important thing with both those flags is have a stiffener, which is a wire that runs from, one diagonal side across the top to the bottom, and that keeps that flag stiff in the wind, or stiff in the air, even if there's no wind.
Right.
So a lot of times people have that big flag on the boat, and it's a big, pretty dive flag, but if it's slick calm like we have on these summer afternoons, you can't see it.
Yeah.
So have that stiffener on there. Another thing is display it at the highest point if you're going to have it on the boat. If you got a T-top, put it in the rocket launcher up top so it's visible. Even if you have it low, sometimes depending on which way a vessel's approaching you and your swimmers, they might not be able to see the flag. So they want you to have it at the highest point. And then the rule as far as how close you need to stay to your dive flag, and we were talking about that earlier too, a good rule of thumb in open water. So if you're out in the middle of the bay, 300 feet, that's 100 yards, so a football field.
That's right.
And that's pretty easy for people to relate to. Stay a football field away with your boat if someone else is diving, and if you're snorkeling or diving around your boat with a flag, stay within 300 feet of that.
Okay.
And if you,
yeah, that's good. That's good rule. We talked about this yesterday too, about just common courtesy. Fishing or whatever, a football field rule is good.
Yes, and that is, when it comes to fishing, it's kind of a common courtesy thing, an unspoken thing, but that is a good rule if you just give people their space. There's a lot of places out there to fish. And another thing, if you are in a pass, an inlet or a channel, then it's only 100 feet if you were. But most people are going to be following that 300 feet football field rule in open water. And the last thing on the dive flags, and another thing, there's a lot of little details on these flags, and we're going to be looking for those things because we want to keep everyone safe. We want to make sure everyone sees the flag and recognizes that people are in the water. It needs to be down when you get done diving, because if you fly that flag when you're idling around looking for another spot or running, some people forget it's up there. Just try to pull it down because it desensitizes people to the dive flag. Sure. When people see that red flag with the diagonal white stripe, we want them to slow down and start looking for people in the water and stay away, stay at least 300 feet away. So that'll be I think it's going to be a big weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a big weekend. I know we were talking also before the show, a lot of times with that many people out there, y'all sort of called in reinforcements to get more officers out there, which is good.
Yes, sir.
And another thing too, and I see this every year, it scares me. Sometimes people will try to get in those channels and they'll just speed right through there, and they will not slow down. And that's always been scary to me.
It is, and we've had people get run over. We get people run over pretty much every year across the state. Last year we had a boy run over in Okaloosa County, didn't have a dive flag, and there was a guy running on plane. It had the sun in his eyes and just didn't see him.
Yeah, and that can happen.
It can, and hopefully everyone, if you have these flags, it just keeps people safe. Yeah. It lets people know you're in the water.
All right, so now you've heard it from the lawman. All the rules and all the regulations. There's not that many. It's easy for all of us to adhere to those rules this weekend. And like Travis said, it's going to be really busy. We'll talk about some more next day or two, but it's going to be really busy out there. A lot of folks, so we're really crowded. So let's take our break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Sitting here with Travis Bassford, and we're talking about, it's getting crowded out there in the water, not just St. Joe Bay, but here in St. Andrew Bay. I know people read in the paper about it. We had that fatality on jet skis and all. And I know you're out there every day. So are you seeing a lot of bad situations?
Yes, sir. It's been a rough start to the summer, and we've had, over the past 2.5, 3 weeks, we've had several bad boating accidents, serious bodily injury, and one fatality. So that area, especially in Bay County, that area in Grand Lagoon, the Pass, and Shell Island, we worked a lot over the past 2 weeks. It's just a very busy waterway, even for an experienced boater. Just be careful. Follow the navigation rules.
And what we're seeing inexperienced people mixing in there, and that's what's happening.
That's correct. We've got a lot of tourists down, and they're renting jet skis, they're renting pontoon boats. So watch out and always take action to avoid collision.
Yeah. Drive defensively. Okay, what else you got here?
Just like on the road. We got another opening. It's going to happen July 1st, and everyone's been anxiously awaiting this one. Been throwing them back as gag grouper.
Yes.
I know a lot of people fishing for red snapper. You're going to catch nice gags. They're going to open July 1st in state and federal waters. It's still a 22-inch size limit, 2 fish per person. Okay. And that's, like I said, that's been anxious. I've pulled up on a lot of people and how are y'all doing? They've got their snapper and they're, well, we're doing good. We had to throw a copper belly back, or we've had to throw some gags back. So that's going to be good. And then some closure still. Triggerfish is still closed. Amberjack is still closed. And one thing I want to touch on, I had talked about in a previous show, is the greater amberjack. They're trying to, and the commissioners are meeting this week in Sarasota. They're trying to get the size limit bumped up to 34. It's not official yet, but I actually had our marine fisheries biologist ride with us the other day offshore, Michelle Simserat, and she gave me some pretty good data if you like fish stuff like I do. But when it comes to amberjack, 30 inches is what the size limit's been for a while. It was 28, and it got up to 30. And she gave me some good data. I'm going to just read that real quick on the size limit of amberjack and why they're wanting to increase the size limit, so the breeding fish, so they're able to reach sexual maturity before they're harvested.
Right.
At 30 inches, only 11% of greater amberjack females are sexually mature. And at 32 inches, that goes all the way to 45%. And at 34, where they want to put it, it's up to 85%.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a big difference right there.
it is. It really is. Just 2 to 4 inches. You're almost you're tripling, quadrupling the percentage of sexually mature females. So when she showed me that, I understood it a little more, and that's where a lot of our rules come from. We can't get that message over to so many of our public, and justifiably so. Sometimes we get upset at rules because we don't have these explanations, and that's what we try to do, is bridge this gap here. Exactly.
And that's the first time I've heard this myself, and that's good stuff right there.
It is, and stuff like that goes into a lot of the regulations we see, a lot of the changes, and sometimes it's frustrating as an angler because, like I tell people, I'm out there fishing when I'm not working, and but there's good data behind it, and there's good reasoning to keep the fishery healthy when it comes to amberjack. And then one more thing I just wanted to touch on that I talked about last time, that special lionfish harvest that I talked about, that is, the commissioners are trying to get that enacted to maybe take effect during this mini season, but it's not a rule yet.
Okay.
So, that was about, if you shoot 10 lionfish in a day, you get an extra spiny lobster to your bag limit. They're trying to, they might have to do an executive order to get that through. They want to get it through for mini season, but we'll have to see what happens with this meeting on both of those both of those topics, amberjack and lionfish. So that's in the works. One thing that's going to go through this week is the black bear hunting. They're doing the final rules on that, and I know Captain Paramore talked about it earlier. We're going to be in the East Panhandle Bear Management Unit, and that's Bay County, Washington County, up to Jackson, all the way east, east of Tallahassee.
Okay.
So in Madison, Taylor.
A lot of bears.
There's a lot of bears, and it's going to be a tag system. He went over the details of that, but that's the main topic of discussion this week down in Sarasota. Is they're drafting the final rules for the black bear hunt, and barring any really interruption, or if anything happens, it's going to open October 24th for that 7-day season.
Okay. And
let's see what else we got.
And that's just while you're looking. I know you're out on the water every day, and you ran across something unusual. If you remember, 2 or 3 weeks ago, one of you were sending a picture of an upside-down tree, all just a root showing, and the long shaft of the tree. And you ran into that. I mean, you didn't run into it. You all saw it.
We did. We saw that offshore yesterday. Yeah. It was. If anybody's fishing, I mean, there's a lot of fish on it. It was yesterday. It was 13 to 14 miles offshore of the Bay-Walton County line.
Okay, and we first heard about it off Cape San Blas, about 40 miles off. So it's drifted this direction.
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming west. And we were talking about where that came from, because it didn't come from around here, I don't think.
Yeah, and you said how long the shaft, how long the trunk?
I would say 80 to 100 feet down.
Wow.
You could. I mean, it was way down there.
Well, one of our viewers thought it might have been a petrified tree, but I'm thinking a petrified is probably going to sink. So it wasn't petrified. So probably a cypress, you think?
I think it was a big cypress, and either floated down from the one of the rivers, maybe the Apalachicola River, or who knows? Maybe Louisiana.
Fascinating, but it had some fish around it.
It was loaded with fish. There was bait all over it, and there were amberjacks circling down around that trunk, because it was the root ball up top, and it had a lot of growth on it, and net and line, and then all the way down was the trunk, and they were just circling. I'm sure there's some good dolphin on it too.
Wow, yeah, I've heard that. It's been fascinating to follow it the last couple of weeks and all. And fortunately, no one that had run into it. I mean, I guess it's big enough you can see it.
Oh, you can definitely see it. When we first saw it, it almost looked, the root ball was so big and it was so much, it was sticking out of the water so much, we thought it was a boat. And we got to go over there and look, and it was a huge root ball. I mean, it was a very old tree and pretty cool to see.
How many y'all have out yesterday in your boat? Y'all sometimes you go single, sometimes you partner up, and how do y'all do?
We do. Yesterday I had a shift partner with me, and then we had an applicant ride along.
Okay.
If you apply with FWC and you want to get on and become an FWC officer, you get 3 ride-alongs.
Okay.
And had a young lady from over in Callaway. She was riding with us.
Oh, cool.
So Rutherford graduate.
But that's okay. That's okay. There's
Yep.
good outdoorsmen over on the east side of town, I can guarantee you.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to take our final break. We'll be right back with our case of the month. Hi, welcome back to Officer Travis Bassford of FWC. Let's look at our fish and game forecast for today. If you're out today, we're looking at our time. This brought to us by Mark Coward, 832-6000. This morning, 6:44 to 8:44, and this evening, 7:06 to 9:06. Those two-hour blocks should be very productive. Okay, let's get to our case of the month.
And it was a good one.
All right.
Very good one. We do a lot of things with fish and wildlife, and sometimes when you catch somebody who's intentionally breaking the law and has been doing it for some time, that's the guys we really enjoy getting, because they can really damage the resource in a short amount of time. And this was a case made by Officer Matt Gore out of Bay County, and he had been watching a fisherman for a while and a boat, and knew they were up to some illegal activity. And about a week ago, it was about 1 or 2 in the morning, and the boat came in that he had been watching for a while. What the boat was doing, it was illegally fishing with a huge net. And although it wasn't a monofilament gill net, it was a nylon net, but the square mesh, or the size of the net, was way over the minimum size. And I'm gonna go over some of the charges that he was charged with, and I'll tell you a little more about what that means and explain the intent of the law there. He was charged with a net over 500 feet, not rolled, folded, or properly stowed in sealed containers. And the reason that's worded like that statute, is because some net fishing is legal in federal waters that's not legal in state. So if you're going to take one of these huge nets and go fish in federal waters, it has to be completely sealed, dry, and you have to be in transit to federal waters. And he wasn't. It wasn't stowed. It was actually recently fished and wet and full of scales. Second one he was charged with, another misdemeanor, was possession of a net more than 500 square feet of mesh area in or on Florida waters where prohibited. So on the waters of the state, you can't have that where it's been recently fished. And again, it had scales in it and it was wet. And then the felony was he was in possession of a net with a mesh area larger than 2,000 square feet.
Wow.
And you want to think, and I helped him get the net. He made the case. He did a great job. But loading that net, it filled the back of a pickup truck, full-size pickup truck up. I mean, it filled the bed up and then was way over the top.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's all folded pretty tight and wet down. So it was a heavy, big net. And those kind of violations, it's a flagrant and major violation. And it was a great case made by Matt. And when you take a net that size on some fish, it can devastate very quickly. And we had the net ban years ago, and there was pushback on either side, but this has been in effect for many years now, and people are aware of the law, and it was a very good case he made.
Well, since '94 we've had that net ban, and it was a constitutional amendment. 80% of the people in Florida were in favor of that, and it was
correct.
I know there, like I say, pushback on both sides, but you hadn't seen a lot of that. You don't usually people obey. You just don't see that anymore.
You don't see it too much. There's a few people that still do it, but most people abide by the law and do it by the legal method. But you do see a few people every once in a while, and this was one here that Matt caught, and it was a
Matt did a good job on that. He sort of had suspicious activity. He kept following it all.
Exactly. Yeah. He did a good job.
That's textbook coverage right there.
Very good. Very good work.
Good job, Matt. We're proud of you. And the Dakin devastating area, I remember we used to pompano fish. I was telling you, the net would come in there and just wipe them out.
Yes, sir.
Because we'd all find them about the same time, and we'd catch them that one afternoon, and that night they'd get them, and the next morning be gone. All right, now we've got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about let's get away from your work now. Let's talk about when you do get some time off. What have you been up to fishing and all?
Well, I did get on the red snapper a little bit. Went with some friends of ours, and we did catch some big red snapper. But last Saturday we went over. I don't know if you've heard of the Yellow River.
Okay.
If any of the viewers are familiar with it, it's over near Crestview. And me and another officer, we were off Saturday, and we caught 22 bass on the Yellow River. And to me, that's a great day of bass fishing.
It is an excellent day of bass fishing.
I was born and raised on Deer Point. Usually don't go out there and catch 22 fish in a morning, but it was great. The river was real low, but it was the Yellow River. It was a little wider than Econfina.
Okay.
And not as cool because it's not spring fed, but it was loaded with fish. I mean,
kidding.
We caught bass, we caught crappie, we caught brim. I mean, it was a good day. It was a fresh life on the river.
And you got to take pictures of those and send it to us so we show the viewers. And we won't give away exact location. What were y'all fishing with?
We were fishing with plastic worms and spinner baits mostly.
Okay.
And they were all about it. And what was neat though, they were eating the worms and the spinner baits, but I caught a pretty nice bass, about 2.5 pounder, and in his mouth I saw an antenna sticking out. So when we cleaned that fish, we kept a few to eat. And when I cleaned that fish, I cut the stomach open. I'll have to send you the picture, and there was a whole fresh crawfish in there, a big one. I mean, it was a big crawfish. And they were eating that, but they were hungry. They were still eating the worms and spinner baits and all that stuff.
And we're talking about natural bait. They're gonna eat whatever's around that area.
They are. But it's a pretty river system over there, and it's right around Crestview. I'm not too familiar with it.
I've never fished that area over there that well, so that's a very productive trip.
Yes, sir. Have you been out much lately?
Well, we did a good job on it. We've done well on snapper. It's been good on snapper, and. But we're getting ready. All of us are now getting ready for that big scallop season to get started. We have big July 4th get together, and they're going to be small, so we just get enough to for that first big cookout, and then we sort of wait a while, let them grow about a month.
And we were talking too. Last year seemed from the reports. I didn't go last year, but last year it seemed a little slow.
Yeah.
And it seems like it runs in cycles, so maybe this year it'll be a little better, and we'll see some more limits because I heard of very few limits last year.
Yeah. It's going to be surprising. I hope we have a pleasant surprise. But anyway, we're going to wrap things up. Travis, good job, buddy.
Enjoyed it, as always.
Yeah, that's a really good report, some really good information. Like I said, he's out there. Y'all be careful on the water because he's seeing a lot of stuff that people are careless. All right, y'all have a great day out there. You do something good for your fellow man, and God bless you.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.